how does any lawmaker in his right mind believe that they can get any kind of public support for a provision that puts people in jail for not buying slightly regulated and still not financially regulated in terms of how much you're getting back? Or you know what we're talking about here. How are you going to sell this, and how is there going to be a signing ceremony? Isn't it just going to be, wouldn't the President of the United States basically have to write it down and then run to avoid the citizens who had voted for him?
Well, I talked to a couple of members this evening about this, and they were shaking their heads because unless it's a Machiavellian plot to further raise the visibility of the birthers and the teabaggers, because it plays right into the argument, and it's resonated some out there in the country, into the argument of people who are saying that this is a massive government plot to take over your whole life. I mean, if you were going to try to feed that paranoia among people who oppose this, there's no better way to do it than this. It's crazy.
Who brought this up? Who was the idiot who brought this up? You know?
I wish I knew the answer, and I'll put it on the internet as soon as I figure it out.
All right, send me an email. The Cantwell, we know the state public option idea is from Senator Cantwell of Washington State. Is it window dressing? Is there something to it? It seems awfully qualified and caveated to death.
Well, I think qualified and caveated to death is what a public option is going to be in the end. I think there'll be some whiff of public option, you know, some seasoning of public option, you know, a garlic smell of public option in the final legislation if it's going to pass, because it won't, whatever comes out of conference, if something comes out of conference, won't pass the House of Representatives on final passage unless there's some nod in the direction of a public option. And the Cantwell proposal is one of the first efforts to try to get to that. It'll be some murky language like that, otherwise they won't pass anything.
It's beginning to look like a viable option. Our own Howard Feynman of Newsweek magazine, and if this passes, I will lead the Teabaggers. Great, thanks, Howard.
Okay, thanks, Keith.
First, let me say I sympathize with your father's health problems. However, Keith, I have no sympathy for you. I'm not sure if you actually figured this all out by yourself or if your scriptwriter just made an error. Feynman says, quote, unquote, "This has resignated some." That is the understatement of the decade, my friend. Over 2 million people marched on D.C., and God knows how many wanted to go, but couldn't for reasons unknown. But my real point is this. Just like Pelosi, when the crap hits the fan, you still continue to label people unjustly. I know you're aware of what teabagging is. This is no frat party, sir. This is the rights of Americans, your rights, your sick father's rights, and the rights of any woman stupid enough to bear your offspring, and the rights of those offspring also. You'll lead the Teabaggers if this passes? Well, sir, we are not accepting flip-floppers, Republicans, or reporters. If this comes to a revolt, sir, you'll not change sides. If you haven't been preaching Constitution, you have chosen your fate. You have called us AstroTurf, Teabaggers, and a host of other things when we peaceably ask to be heard. No one wants a fight, but if we're forced, a fight you will get. I do believe, or at least this is what I'd do. If you showed up at a tea party, I'd wrap you in tea leaves and toss you straight in the bay. As there is dandelion tea, I would have pansy tea. In fact, bring Matthews, Schultz, Schuster, Maddow, and the rest of the MSNBC crew. Why just have one bag when you can have a barrel?